Can you see
And
my screen?
yes, the active
Okay.
balance. I'm so looking forward to your talk. Um, it is right 2:45, so might as well intro you. So
Okay, let's
Chloe,
do this.
yeah, let's do it. Chloe's the VP of Strategy at Point Three. She's a security researcher and advocate, especially for ethical hackers and security researchers. So appreciate that. Seen a lot of your work there. So thank you from a researcher. And I speak for a lot in the community that maybe you haven't heard, but we definitely appreciate everything you do there. I know you run a number of different things, like you co-founded Women of Security, or WOSEC, and are a podcaster. And you're just doing some awesome things with the community. So we really appreciate you being here and taking the time to give back. And without further ado, go ahead and take it away.
Excellent. Well, thanks for the wonderful intro. It's wonderful to be here, you guys. I'm just going to hide my camera so I don't see my camera. So welcome to the Art of Balance. If you're wondering, wait, I thought this was a talk about burnout. Well, guess what? It is. It completely is, because I don't know if you know this, but burnout usually happens when where balance is off. So our personal life and our work life are no longer in a complete balance. So I know this is a hard time for us. 2020 has been, I'm not even gonna say it, it's just been a terrible year. Let's be real. So one of the things I wanted to do is take a deep breath in and then exhale. Now, if you ever feel like you're in a moment of extreme panic mode, like something hits you in this talk or whatnot, please take a deep breath in and through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And you want to do that 6 times within 1 minute. And that should help calm you down immediately. This is going to be something that is going to be emotional at times. So I'm here for you guys and to give you guidance. So let's dive into this. But first, if you do not know who I am the VP of Strategy over at Point 3 Security. I'm also an ethical hacker advocate. And if you're wondering what is that, that means just someone who kind of asks around the community and does whatever possible to make our community even better. If that means giving a voice to those that are underrepresented, that means giving a voice to those underrepresented and getting people in the public to use the correct terms, like hacker versus a cyber criminal when they're referring us in a negative view. That means that. But we're trying to get our current legal system to get on board with the current day, because the laws are out of date. When I'm not that, I'm also the president and co-founder of WOSAC, which is Women of Security. We have chapters all over the world, which is fantastic. I'm also the founder of We Are Hackers, formerly known as Women Hackers, which is basically a community, a private community that is online, that's virtual around the world, for those that hack at all levels, but also are all people of gender that are underrepresented within the InfoSec space. So it's a good way to have that kind of empowering network so you don't feel isolated or alone. The Hacker Book Club, we meet every week on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and basically we read a new book every month. And in this case, what we do is we have the writer join us, or the people that are mentioned in the book to join us while we dive in through the pages. This is a really fun thing to connect with the hacker community and the hacker writer as well, so we can kind of come together. When I'm not that, I'm also the ITSP Magazine's Uncommon Journey podcaster, along with Alyssa Miller and Phil Wiley. Now let's dive into the good part. So what I want you to do is vision that you're driving. Now, while you're driving, at the same time, you question, should I look at my side mirror before merging into the other lane? Because you're like, if I do that, then I get out of that project, or I don't have to go to work because I have an excuse. You know, if I get in a serious car accident, I don't have to have all these tasks assigned to me anymore. Or better yet, maybe if life is just over, then I don't have to worry and I don't have to have this stress, this feeling of trappedness. Another scenario. It used to take you a couple minutes to respond to an email. Now it's taking you like 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, a couple hours, or maybe a few days. And then sometimes it's a week long. This is another common scenario when you're dealing with burnout, by the way. Or better yet, when you have these situations, you have your friends and family, your colleagues trying to reach out to you. They text you, they call you, but you will ignore it, or you don't respond right away. And it's not because you're busy necessarily. It could actually be because every time someone calls you, you find it as a task that I have to pick up this phone. I have to talk to this person, or is the fear that this person is going to ask and request something from you when you already feel like you cannot keep giving? Or better yet, sometimes feelings of where you're just really sensitive. Like you read something on Twitter and a part of you just wants to flip over a desk or throw something on the ground. Or something can make you sad really fast. You'll be watching some sort of video on YouTube and then you start like kind of crying a little bit. And you're like, wait, why am I crying about this puppy video? It's so cute, but I'm suddenly sad. There's this feeling of being trapped and this sense of emptiness. And that's the sad part about when you're dealing with these type of burnout, is that your emotions can go from one to another. And it's very hard because the part with burnout is it's not necessarily through work, it's also could be emotional burnout. Or better when you procrastinate. I know many of us procrastinate, but sometimes we procrastinate because we're feeling overwhelmed or trapped. So we'll push a deadline, or we'll like, oh, that's not really due on that date, I can extend it. Or you do it on the day of. I think the first sign usually with burnout though is that you just feel overly tired. No matter hours of sleep that you get, you just feel so tired. So you can sleep for 10 hours, you wake up, you're like, I am so tired, I cannot, I'm so exhausted. You just feel emotionally burned out. And for those that don't know what burnout really is, it's a sense that your battery, your own personal battery, is very low on charge. And things just don't seem right. You feel a little bit off. Now, I want to also let you guys know that I'm going to give you a bunch of different ways how to deal with it, but also check in with your doctor, and there's a reason for that. There was this time where I felt like I had really, really low energy, so I got checked out, and it turned out my iron levels were low. So once I started taking iron supplements, my energy got back. So always check your vitals, your vitamins, make sure you are. So if you're vegan or vegetarian, please take your vitamin Bs. Also vitamin D, all of us are very much like having problems with having vitamin D because we work inside all the time. So make sure you get your vitamins in every day. And last but not least, I am not a therapist, but all the scenarios that I presented you with, those all happened in my life when it came to burnout. I have dealt with burnout on and off through many, many years because I'm kind of a type A person, but I do this crazy thing where I look around and I'm like, how can I make that better? Oh, I have an idea. I'm going to go running with it without thinking in the long term how much time that's going to take. So I've already pledged myself for making sure that I get this done and I do these things. And then what happens is like right when I cross it off, I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I take on another project. And so this is the thing to think about, is taking the step back and taking care of who you are and making sure that you feel balanced. If you're feeling not balanced, don't take on more tasks. So what is burnout? Well, burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive prolonged stress. It occurs when you feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet constant demands. I want to make it very clear to you, there's stress and then there's burnout. So stress is kind of more of like, oh, if I just, you know what, I'll take a bubble bath and I'll feel better, or I'll drink this glass of wine and I'll feel much better. That's just stress, right? Burnout is a little bit different. It's when you just keep pushing yourself and you just don't want to anymore. You feel trapped. You feel like you just can't handle anything. You can't even meet with your friends. You can't even talk to them on the phone. You can't even look at your emails because you just feel so overwhelmed. That is burnout. Stress is different. Stressing you can cope with. Burnout requires a lot more things. Now, if you are really burned out, it's going to take you a little bit longer to get back to normal. And usually the best way how to do that is taking a break. So we're going to dive into these things now on how to get better at it. And if you're wondering what is that quiz at the bottom, on that link. That quiz is really good if you think that you are burnout or you want to check yourself out if you are burnout. But I want to let you know that this is a quiz that you can do online. But if you love the work that you do or you love your job and all that, you're not going to get the results that would probably be for you. And the reason for that is that it's more about whether or not you hate your job. So if you don't like your job or anything, this quiz is great for you. If you love what you do and everything like that, that quiz is not going to work as well for you. So usually when we hear about burnout, how do I get better at it? How do I prevent it? Exercising, a balanced diet, practicing good habits, ask for help. The thing is though, is that that's usually what it is, how to prevent burnout. But right now we're dealing with a pandemic and we can't really go out as much as if we want. I tried running with a mask on the other day. It was really hard, but I know and understand the importance of wearing a mask, so I still wear it. But also practicing good sleep habits is also a really hard thing to do right now because I hate to break it to you, but many of us are going through some emotion stuff. Many of us are now having to stay at home. We're constantly worried that someone is going to get hurt or can die from this pandemic. Not just that, but we also are looking at ourselves thinking that we might be the spreader or that everyone around us is a carrier, and then you have to be super careful. And that in itself, that's another layer. We've always had burnout on InfoSec, but not like this. This is another layer of that, where not only are you dealing with your everyday, like personal stuff, you're also dealing with work stuff, which is normal, but now there's this extra layer of insecurity, this layer of what's going to happen the next day, what's going to happen the following week, what about a month? Let's be real, it's very hard. You can't really plan things out anymore. You kind of take day by day. And that's not helpful either if you have anxiety or if you have depression, because it's very hard to have like good sleeping practices or habits when you already are afraid. So one of the things I want to push through on this is there's some other steps that you can do that during the pandemic and after the pandemic. So let's dive into this. So the first step is self-awareness, right? You have to be aware first that you're burned out. And sometimes they'll hit you like a tidal wave where suddenly you're like, oh my God, I cannot do anything anymore. I cannot sleep. I feel so trapped. And you might have a panic attack, believe it or not. And this is normal. The thing with self-awareness is to feel like if something's off, like your energy levels are off, or you feel like you're having a little bit more negative thoughts versus positive thoughts, you need to be aware of that. So I ask you to be more aware of who you are and making sure that you feel like you are one with yourself. And if you're wondering, how can I do that? There's a couple things you could do. One is journaling. You can journal every single day. And journaling really is a good way how to do it because you start seeing what are the issues that you're experiencing. What is the feelings that are going through you? It's really good to do it and then you just reread your sections that you've done in the past because you'll start seeing patterns showing up. And when you see those patterns, that's when you know you have a problem. So then you need to find solutions to help that situation. So being self-aware is really important. So if you are sleeping like 8 hours, 9 hours, or 10 hours every day, and you still feel exhausted, or it's taking you more than 10 minutes to respond to an email that usually takes you like a minute, that's the time that you might need to take a break. And yeah, as some of you guys know, I'm a huge proponent of a device detox. And I know that sounds very goofish, but the thing is that to really get away from everything, for you to recharge your batteries, you actually have to turn off everything. So I always have this practice that I turn off all my devices one day a week, and I might do it for like 6 to 8 hours. I let my loved ones know, hey, by the way, I'm going off the grid for like this many hours. Please do not disturb me. If so, I will have you as an emergency contact and my phone will ring. The thing is, you need to take a break. That means taking a break from Twitter. That means taking a break from Instagram. That means taking a break from LinkedIn, your emails, your Twitch, Discord, everything. Turn off everything. Because the thing is that right now you're dealing with a lot of personal stuff with the COVID-19. You're dealing with an extreme amount of emotion suppression where you just don't know, you can't predict things. And as humans, we like to be like, feel like we have control or feel like we're able to predict things. And that's the issue right there, is because we don't anymore. We can only do a certain amount, right? But we can't do everything. So the thing is, it's really, really important for yourself to be self-aware. And the best way how to do that is by taking a time, device detox, turn off all your devices, do it once a week for a number of hours or do a whole day. And if you're feeling really, really burned out, I highly recommend doing it for a while. Like I just came back from, I guess, a 10-day break from all devices, and it felt really good. So like I said, taking a break is really important. You need to do it once per week during this time. You can change it after the pandemic, okay? That's all right. I know it's hard. What do you mean I can't be on Twitter for a day? What? But Chloe, I love Twitter. Even though it's a mess most of the time these days. The thing is, you need to take a break. All right, so make sure you do that. You even put your little like messenger on saying, I'm out of office, or I'm away from my emails from this date to this date. Just do it. Trust me on this. This is how you get back to normal from being burnout, or even if you're about to go into that phase. The next thing is to do a to-do list. So I carry a to-do list everywhere I go in my home because I can't really go outside. So the thing is having a to-do list is really important. And I know that at first when you put down everything on there, you're like, this is not doing well for my anxiety and my nerves. As someone who has anxiety, I know at first it's really scary, but let me tell you how amazing it feels when you cross that thing out. So the to-do list is really important because it also helps you if you're dealing with insomnia or sleeping issues, because what happens is that when we lay our head on the bed, we're not really falling asleep right away sometimes. And all we're thinking is about, oh God, I have to do that assignment. Oh God, I have to make sure I do this. Oh crap, I forgot to email that person. So the thing is that you'll wake up in the middle of the night thinking of these things, or you'll go to bed thinking of these things, but you don't write it down. If you write it down, it empties out this part of your brain. So you feel like, okay, I can now focus on something else. And that's the thing. With burnout, you're focusing on everything without focus because you are swimming in clutter. So having a to-do list is really good. So do it for your work, do it for your personal. You can even keep it on the same to-do list, but have that next to you. First thing in the morning, go fill it out. Throughout the day, just have it with you. So you just cross out, add things, cross out, add things. It's going to help you. And like I said, also journaling is also something really good to do too, is writing. So think of writing as your emotional support to find out what's going on deep down inside. And a to-do list is there to be practical and help you throughout the day. Now, I want to also tell you about investing. So the thing is that during a burnout, this is the time where you also examine what is missing in my life. Because you're feeling this off feeling, you need to know what's going on. So like I was saying, that journaling thing, that's going to help you discover a part of you that you've lost. And a lot of us have felt that I used to do all these wonderful things and now I don't do that anymore. And I want to get back into the groove, but I don't know how to even start. So the thing is, you need to look and examine your life. When you're feeling like I don't want to talk to my family or my friends because it just feels like they're going to put another task on me, you need to take a step back and see, why are you starting to see them in that way? Why is that? One of the things that I did this year was that I had you'll learn from this entire talk that I like to do a lot of note taking. But I would do this T chart like this, and one side would be before InfoSec, during InfoSec, and so I would list all the things that I used to do and enjoyed before I went into InfoSec, and all the things that I enjoy in InfoSec. And then I also at the bottom put down the things I didn't like and the things that I didn't like either. And from there, I was able to see what are the things that I'm passionate about that I'm ignoring because I'm investing too much in my work life. So these are things to do, is to get really in touch with yourself, and especially during a pandemic, it's the perfect time to get really in touch with yourself or become that person you've always wanted to become. I think that's definitely one of those things. So on the personal side, you need to invest in yourself. You need to ask yourself, what's going on with me? And how can I get reconnected with myself? Because even when we're not in a pandemic, you get disconnected from yourself all the time when you're burned out. Now when it comes to work stuff, let's be real now. You're not gonna like some of these points I'm gonna tell you. But one is, you're gonna have to tell your manager. And I know you're like, oh no, Chloe, if I do that, I might lose my job, or I might do this or that. What I want you to do is think about it this way. You can have an open conversation with your boss, and then right afterwards send an email saying, thank you for hanging out or spending time with me and talking about my burnout and my feelings and everything like that. You want to keep a paper trail. Just always keep a paper trail in life. It will help you later on. But the thing is, you need to ask your boss for a break. You need a time off. This is really, really important. You need to have your time off. If you don't take time off, you are definitely going to get burned out more than ever before. And yeah, if you're like, well, if I take a vacation, Chloe, then I lose a couple of my vacation days later in the year. Well, I hate to break it to you, but why aren't you taking it now if you're emotionally not doing well? Now, the other thing is that a lot of companies themselves, they are now starting to understand the importance of mental health. And I hope that this pandemic really shows that to them, because it is the #1 priority to invest in your people. And if you feel that this company is not investing in you or even caring about your mental health during this pandemic, I think it's time for you to look elsewhere. And the good news is that there are jobs out there in InfoSec to get your foot in the door. So while you're working at your job, look elsewhere, ask for people, where can I possibly work at? And it's gonna be really important for you to do that, because if you're working at somewhere that you hate or you don't like, or you're feeling overworked, it's not a good environment for you, and you're not taking care of you. And you need to take care of you to be able to do better in life. Now, last but not least on this front, the other thing is that if you are someone who's underrepresented in InfoSec, the chances are you're going to feel a lot more burned out faster than most folks. And you're probably wondering, wait, what? The reason for that is, I'll explain from my own experiences and the research. For example, being a woman in InfoSec, you wear multiple hats. You're doing multiple jobs. You're giving tasks to yourself, or your boss is giving you tasks to you, because that's just the way it is. They give you more things than usual. And of course, you're going to work twice as hard to prove that they need to keep you and that you're someone who's important. And the thing is that if you're in that situation, that's letting you know they have a diversity and an inclusion problem. So if you're someone who's underrepresented in the space, that means your gender or your race, your ethnicity, your religion, your mental health too, okay? I just want you to know one thing is that a good practicing workplace that practices diversity and inclusion will make sure that you're not getting burned out and is there for you. So just think about that. And also, if you're feeling like you are dealing with more tasks than most of the people on your team and you're someone who's underrepresented, it's time to look elsewhere. Don't keep putting up with that. So main takeaways here is, when you feel overwhelmed, do a device detox for once a week. I think you should be doing that anyway, as it is. And it doesn't have to be a whole day, it could be a few hours. When you feel overwhelmed, invest in yourself. Remember, you have to invest in yourself, because it's only you who's going to take on action. It's only you who can know what's going on in your head. You need to invest in yourself. When you feel overwhelmed, ask for help. That means ask your manager for help. Ask your team members for help. Ask your friends, your family for help. When you feel overwhelmed, write it down. I cannot emphasize that enough. You need to write it down so you have more space in your head. And if you're feeling like you have some negative thoughts, or you're just trying to have some optimism every single day, the one thing I could definitely tell you is think of 3 things you're grateful every single day. It could be first thing in the morning or when you go to bed, but anytime you have a negative thought that goes through your mind, think of 3 things that you are grateful for, and that should help to a certain extent. But we need to stay optimistic through this pandemic as much as possible. When you feel overwhelmed, take a break. Like, I cannot emphasize this enough. When you feel overwhelmed, put yourself first. And I know that sounds really weird in many ways, but you have to. because who's going to take care of you, right? You cannot help another person unless you are feeling balanced yourself. So keep that in mind. When people are asking you to help them, or friends or family, and you're feeling burned out, you cannot do it. And that's why you ignore their phone calls. That's why you ignore their text messages, or you take a really long time, because you're not putting yourself first. And you need to let them know, hey, I want to be there for you, but I'm right now not doing okay. I need to recharge my batteries. I'm feeling burned out. I feel overwhelmed emotionally, and I just need a little time to myself. When you feel overwhelmed, know that you're not alone. I want you to know that no matter where you are around the world, you should not feel alone in InfoSec. If you do, reach out to me. There are so many organizations and people out there in InfoSec that want to be there for you. And so please note that you're never alone. And most importantly, if you're wondering, am I burned out? Just ask the one question: am I balancing my work and personal life? Meaning, are you spending enough time in your personal life and your work life? If not, you need to start taking the steps to fix it, because that's a sign right away that you're burned out. I just want to say thank you to GRIMMCon for existing, and thank you guys for existing. You know, InfoSec, we need every single person, and everything that you guys do is so important to keep everyone safe. So thank you guys for existing and for entering this space. And I would love to take any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you so much, Chloe. I personally was looking forward to this talk, and I already feel better. I think you gave a lot of really good advice. Those takeaways really summarize the entire talk very well. So really appreciate that. And I see folks also engaging on Discord and asking and questions and whatnot. So one, to summarize, because multiple people had the same question, is that I get burned out because I'm the only analyst doing this type of job for my manager, or maybe I'm like the only security person in this org, and if I take a time off, I feel I'm letting them down. Things, like those type of questions. Can you elaborate on that?
Of course. Well, one, congrats to those people for, one, caring about other people. And the one thing I've realized during this pandemic is that not too many people care about each other, hence why they don't wear a mask in public when they should. And that's the hardest part right now for us to imagine. And yes, taking a break is one of those things that you're very concerned about, but let's be real. If you don't take a break and you're burned out, you're gonna let your team down anyway. So the thing is, it's really important is for you to actually tell your team, I need to take some time off. When is a good time for you guys? I'm hoping to do it within the next few weeks, so I can recharge my battery, so then I could be better employee for you. If you are the only security person at an entire company, I am so sorry for you. You must be so burned out, and it's all hours. And you need to tell your boss. I'm sorry, but they should also be hiring someone to help you. If they're gonna hire another sales and marketing person, they can certainly hire another security person. You should not be carrying that load. That is the company's responsibility, not yours.
Thank you so much. Another one along those lines, and this one I would get a lot to, is I fear that when I take vacation, I'm gonna come back with twice, and somehow in a unlogical way, I take a week off and I come back and I have 3 weeks of work. How can I deal with that?
Oh, I feel your pain on that. So I took my first break ever in the last 2.5 years because of this reason. So what I did was that preparing for going away, I try to get all the tasks done beforehand. So you're gonna work a little bit extra the week before you leave. So just expect that you'll be working a little bit more. Now, the thing that you can do is when you are away, tell people not to Slack you. If it's anything that they need from you, email it to you. This is gonna help you keep in kind of an idea when you get back, when you see all the emails, you know exactly what you need to do. You can see the train of thought, you can see the people's reactions. So if it's like, I'm thinking about doing this project and other people are on that chain, that helps you out when you come back. Having some sort of project management system in place, so like Trello or something, that's really helpful too. So what are some projects that are now new coming about. Also, making sure that you set up one-on-ones with your team members or with your boss for right when you come back. So then you can be able to be like, okay, what are things they need right away to be done with the next few days? Because I have to go through my huge inbox suddenly. So that's one thing to do is ask them, what should you prioritize on? So ask them what you need, which ones are urgent, which ones aren't. So that helps you. So on your first 2 days back, put a block on your calendar so no one can actually book any time with you. So before you go, block your calendar on for your first and second day if possible, but especially your first day. So then you can just go through your emails and take down notes, what are things that you need to remember. And then send an email to your team members. Okay, what are the projects that I need to focus on immediately, if not today or tomorrow? So I know that.
That is a great one. I hadn't thought about that. And that's fantastic. I have another one here from someone on the web posting the question. Awesome talk. Thank you so much. How do you deal with the fear of failure when doing things?
So I will speak from personal experience. Because I am a woman, I'm constantly worried that I'm going to fail. So I work twice as hard maybe than some of my peers. And the reason for that is that I'm constantly worried that I'm going to drop the ball or this isn't as good as it can be. So the thing to note about is that it's okay if you're not perfect or anything like that, but you just have to take the step back and really examine everything. I have a lot more thoughts on that. But
We have a few more minutes if you want to elaborate, if you're comfortable with it. But I think it's a good one to tackle. I mean, let's.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, reread the question to me and let me get everything possible. So it'll be like memorized in my mind.
So how do you deal with the fear of failure when doing things?
Okay. All right. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to make a little list for yourself of all the amazing things you've accomplished in your life. And you're going to have that list wherever you go. You could put it in your wallet, you could put it on your phone, anywhere. And whenever you're feeling like you're going to fail something or you are a failure or something like that, look at that list. And then also have a couple of people that you can call to reinforce. That's something really important to do as well. For me, I constantly don't think I'm achieving anything. And so for me, I constantly have to go to someone or I'll look at my LinkedIn to see my profile, where I've worked, the degrees I have, or like those kind of things. Or yeah, it's one of those things that unfortunately, I think it's a lot about self-esteem, and that's usually really connected to this fear. And to be honest, like none of us should have that fear, because let's be real, to get into InfoSec and be in InfoSec, that means you did something pretty hard and incredible. It's a hard field to get into. So if you got in, congratulations, you're one of the lucky ones. Just remember that. And the fear of failing, that can also be stemming from where you work. So if you feel like everyone keeps criticizing you or your boss is criticizing you versus promoting you, that's going to be a problem too, because that's not going to do well on your self-esteem either. So once again, we internalize a lot of the things that happen in our office, when in reality we should also be looking at what is happening in our office that's causing these things to happen. So keep that in mind.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I think this was awesome. I think someone had to say, and you did an awesome job with that. In relation to the last question, right? The imposter syndrome is definitely something we're trying to tackle here with GRIMMCon, and you know, everyone has something to share, even though you think that you might not have anything to share. Just share it, right? Like there you will lose nothing. So we're trying to do that.
It's the story. Hearing stories of other people that have accomplished stuff, say, I have imposter syndrome, these are the reasons why. I think that really helps a lot, is us telling a little bit more about our personal life and how personally this is affecting us. Like when I submitted my first talk, I was like, oh man, I've only been in this industry for like 1 year. Like, why would anyone want to listen to me talk about anything? In reality, you might have insight that other people don't, because we all came from different backgrounds before we came into InfoSec, and that's the important part. So if you're able to showcase that People want to hear. People want to hear your ways of solving things because they're trying to figure it out themselves. But also it's a way for us to connect with one another. And I think that's really the thing is in InfoSec, we tend to be very isolated. So having that connection with another person, or like, for example, like, oh, wait, you also had a problem when you first sent your talk in? You didn't think like someone was going to accept your talk because you only were here for 1 year? Oh my God, me too. See, we got a connection now. And that's the important thing. We need more connection in life, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you again. We really appreciate your time and everything you do for the community.